everyone. My name is Jeanette Martin of MYBC Consulting. Well, that's a go figure because I'm on the MYBC Consulting page. And I am the move your bum chum consulting kind of girl. I love to bring my community together. I love to collaborate, and I love to showcase people in my community. And no better way than authors. Oh, did I hear a bark? Good.
Yes.
Your dog can bark and my chickens and roosters can go in the background, and we're going to have a good time tonight.
This is a time of day when she doesn't settle down.
Oh, you know what? That's fine. This is a very casual conversation. I'd like to introduce Cathy Derksen, 4-time best-selling author. And she has a special announcement sometime in the next 20 minutes she's going to be talking about. So welcome, Cathy, to the Virtual Bookstore Author Series.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's exciting to talk about books and authors and all those fun things about why we're here.
Exactly. So first of all, because we got a little member of the family there of the fur variety, what kind of dog do you have in the name?
Oh, well, her name is Bella. She's a strawberry blonde. She is a poodle and Swiss mountain dog cross.
Oh, I've never.
So she's a funny looking thing, and I would pick her up, but she's just got quiet now, so I'll leave her alone.
Okay.
So yeah, so she's about 45 pounds, and she just turned 1 year old. 1 year
old. Oh, so she's just a toddler.
Call her a teenager. Definitely the troublemaking teenager. Oh, and she got her haircut today, so she was at the groomers for about 3 hours. So she's a little more antsy than usual today.
Got the little diva going because I've been at the spa for 3 hours.
That's right.
So let's get into your book writing journey and what prompted you to put on that writer hat and to start becoming a best-selling author.
Well, it's actually kind of a strange story because I'm actually dyslexic.
Oh,
so I never considered myself a writer or a reader. I love to read, but I do it slowly and in probably a strange fashion and just kind of in bits and pieces. And so and as a writer, my spelling is, if I didn't have spell check, I definitely would not be doing this. but it's funny because one of the things about being dyslexic, and actually I find that a lot of dyslexics actually have they're big thinkers.
Oh, okay.
So even though the putting little words on paper might be a little more challenging, instead our brains have put the energy into thinking big and broad and into a lot of different directions. So my background is actually in genetics. So my degree, and I worked for about 25 years in medical genetics, mainly in hospital labs and public education. And so it really wasn't till I went through divorce about 10 years ago and tell that story in my books. But as I moved into financial planning from working in the lab, and that's when I got into doing a lot more networking. And I met up with a lot of different women's organizations and kind of that community that they built. And that's when I started hearing about the books that they had been putting together, because all the books that I've done are collaborative books.
Okay.
All with women's organizations. And so I'd been hearing about the books they were putting together, but again, I'd never thought of myself as a writer. And so it really wasn't until the group that I did my first 3 books with is called Women of Worth. Wow. And it's a local BC group. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until their topic, the theme came up, emotional intelligence, mental health matters. And that one really hit home to me, because after going through the family turmoil that I was in my marriage and the divorce and the whole process I went through, I really recognized that I had come through some big transitions and changes that I could help and share my experience with other people. So it was when that theme came up that I felt, I have something to say here. And that's when I really started doing more writing. And it's funny because after doing the books now, a lot of people tell me I'm a great writer. Whereas again, I would never have even, being dyslexic and being like I said, my spelling I flip things upside down and backwards and side to side. So
Right.
things like 9s and 6s, P's, B's, and D's, I switch them all around, even M's and W's. So I will, even when I'm typing, I switch them around. So it's not just
interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So it really wasn't until I was at that point and hearing the stories that the women were putting together and the value that the community was getting from reading the stories of other people's challenges and how they'd come through them. So that's really what started me on that journey.
Okay.
And so the 3 books that I did with WOW all had different themes. So the first one was that emotional intelligence. Then it went into transitioning in turbulent times. And then the last one was actually called Pandemic. So again, kind of how we're adjusting. And so through these last 10 years, I've actually gone from, like I said, I worked in medical genetics and I went through a big divorce and I kind of reinvented myself completely, went into financial planning for 10 years. Just recently really realized that I went into financial planning to start with, because I wanted to help women, especially, to really understand the finances and especially going through big changes like divorce and retirement and things like that. But after 10 years of working in that field, I just felt I wasn't having that impact, that I could give them tools, but it wasn't really changing their life in a positive way necessarily. So now I've started my own business called Inspired Tenacity. And with that, I'm now being able to focus on actually helping women going through major transitions and life decisions and focus on the parts of it that I feel are the most important. So that's, yes. So it's been a journey. I've been through a few ups and downs and sideways things.
So there's lots of good stuff for me to unpack there as a curious being that I am and a person that loves and adores books. And I happen to know Christine really well. I've been to a couple of Women in Worth events, and a couple of my friends have got awards. 2 years ago, I believe it was Katie McKay got Business Woman of the Year and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar with Women of Worth, and it's a great organization.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you happen to have the 3 books or the books that you've been published in there handy?
I do.
This is how we're going to unpack or turn the page. That first one, if we can turn to your story about the emotional intelligence.
This one? My virtual screen is going to make it disappear. But
no, you're perfect. When you kind of keep it in front of your shirt, you're awesome. If we can turn to your chapter, I would love for you to read the title of your chapter and maybe the first couple of 3 paragraphs. So I believe emotional intelligence, and I know it's a topic in the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years that is really coming to the forefront in business, that if we can be emotionally involved in what we're doing in our life, the skills will follow. And they say hire for aptitude, we can train it later. But I'd love to know how you wrote about emotional intelligence.
All right. So my title was Reinvent Your Life Through Resilience and Tenacity.
Great words. Okay.
And with these books, we always have a little quote from somebody else before we get into it. And my quotes, which is one that I've had up on my wall for a long time. How does one become a butterfly? You must want to fly so much that you're willing to give up being a caterpillar. So that choice, that being willing to give up where you're at to jump into that next thing. So I love that quote. Let's see, here we go. So you just wanted me to read a couple paragraphs? Is that what?
Read a couple of paragraphs, because I'd love to hear your take on this resiliency and tenacity. I haven't heard tenacity put in with that word resilience in a while.
Well, that's why my company, like I said, is called Inspired Tenacity.
Yeah,
I love the word tenacity. And in my vision, inspiration and tenacity are the key things that we need to make any big change in our life. So you need that inspiration of what you actually want to accomplish, but then you need that tenacity to just keep going. So, and that's where resilience comes in. So resilience and tenacity kind of go together. So, all right. I actually haven't read my chapter out loud, but so
Oh,
chin
and
up.
I just want to say, am I putting you on the spot with your dyslexia about reading? All of a
Well,
sudden,
if I do read slowly, then you will forgive me.
yeah, absolutely. I'm curious.
All right. And it's my own writing, so I should be able to figure it out. That's the other thing. I tend to only pick words that I know how to spell. So I'll
Beautiful.
often not use a certain word because like, oh, I don't know how to spell it. I'll go back, pick a different word. So chin up, keep moving. This phrase has kept me alive and moving in a positive direction for over 10 years now. Through the darkest days of my life, through the times when I felt hopeless and lost, I found myself repeating that phrase over and over. It was the only thing I had left to hang on to. So many of us find ourselves living a life that is not what we had planned. We get into relationships, start families, create a home with the dream of living a healthy, successful life. Unfortunately, many of us face challenges along the way that delay or shatter those dreams. And the scars and bruises left behind are not always ones that others can see. Verbal and emotional abuse can cut as deeply and injure as badly as physical abuse, and abuse of all kinds leaves the victim shaken, confused, and questioning themselves and the world around them.
That's beautiful. Wow. It's so true about how words are so powerful. Like when you, I'm just envisioning something right now. So pardon my visualization is, when you get a paper cut from a piece of paper and how much that thin, crazy little piece of paper that has words
so much.
How much that hurts so much, in that these words, and unless you inherently know all the different tonalities of a word, I can go, good morning, Cathy. Good morning, Cathy. Good morning, Cathy. Like the tonality of the words, that if I just sent you a quick text, good morning, Cathy, and I'm so excited to say.
That's why text is so dangerous, yes.
Yeah, so that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So let's move on to the second collaboration book with the Women of Worth. And its title again is, please?
It is 16 Women Who Are Thriving Through Turbulent Times.
Ooh.
So evolve, expand, and empower are the words that.
Okay, let's just go there for a second. Evolve. What are they? Evolve,
expand, and empower.
Wow, I was just actually talking to someone today about that word, evolve or evolution. And I know there's some people out there that, the evolution, integration, and all the rest. To me, this world has been given to us as almost a blank canvas, though we're lucky we've got the trees and the land and the beautiful people and the air and the sky and the moon, that it's up to us to put our creativeness out there. You put your creativity, I put mine, and this is how this new creation happened.
It's like a soup.
It is. It's like, and we just got to keep knowing that I've got something to add to the soup. I know I've got some, and put it out there, write it out there, draw it out there, say it out there with that tenacity to be able to do it. So beautiful. I'm loving this conversation. How can you tell, Cathy?
All right. So my chapter in this book, and you'll notice a theme here, chapter is called Inspired Tenacity. And the quote that I chose for this one is a Brené Brown quote. I love her words of wisdom. Only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the infinite power of our light. It's one of my favorite quotes from her.
You know what? I'll leave it up to you. I'm saying the first couple chapters, but if there's a paragraph that you feel within your story there that is impactful without giving too much away, I'm going to let you service up a piece of your story.
I think this one I will also start at the beginning and just have a bit here. And so keep in mind with this one was written at the beginning of the pandemic. So it was I guess, May 2020 when we started putting it together. So of course, at that time, we knew we were in chaos, but we didn't know what the next year was going to look like, right? So that's where this one's coming from. So again, the chapter is called Inspired Tenacity. Fear, anxiety, loneliness, isolation, confusion, helplessness, hopelessness. These are only a few of the emotions I've been going through in 2020. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the world has left me wondering what will happen next and what will our lives look like when this time in history has passed. As a financial planner, my work has been nearly all-consuming as I have continued working from home, trying to keep up with the needs of my clients while they deal with their own financial and emotional challenges. A friend of mine summed up what I've been feeling very well when he said his soul feels tired. It's a level of overwhelm that I've never experienced before, and it has left me in a daze. However, the quarantine has given me plenty of time for self-reflection, and this time of contemplation has led me to realize that I have been slipping into a depressed state even before the pandemic started. I look back on the memories of myself being bubbly and fun and adventuresome and curious. When did I lose myself? I used to have energy that drew people to me. Now I feel invisible. And so with that one, I kind of then go on to.
Okay. I just got a little chills because I want to know the rest of the story on that
Well,
one.
the book that's coming out at the end of this month is called Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. So the whole book is a collection of women's stories about times when they felt invisible and how they've come through that and become invincible. So that's got a whole other thing. But yes, just kind of going back. So as a, back then last spring, most people were kind of out of work and doing nothing and killing time. Whereas mine was the opposite, because as a financial planner, it was almost impossible to keep up with the demands of the job. The markets were crashing. People didn't know how they're going to pay their mortgage. People were freaking out about everything. So my job was like working double time and being like a counselor as well as a financial planner, as well as kind of that sounding board. So I was that one person that, over 200 people had me as their main contact. So over 200 people are calling me and needing help. And, we had families where people were passing away. People are in the hospital and the family can't go see them. All these tragic stories and stories of fear and distress and overwhelm, and all these snowbirds that have been down in the States enjoying what they would normally do in the winter. We're having to rush home to, they don't even know what, they've got nowhere to come home to because they rent their apartment out during the, while they're away, and they're rushing back in January, February, and then figuring out life in March. And so it was always one of my pet peeves at that time when everybody was talking about, oh, you got nothing to do. You got nothing to do. You might as well, it's like, I've got more than enough to do. Speak for yourself.
Can I just breathe?
Exactly. So that's the funny thing too. So then with the other book, the pandemic book, it was written in December.
Okay.
Or released in December. So I guess we were working on it through like September, October kind of time frame. So it was kind of more when we were realizing this wasn't going away anytime soon. And let me just find that one. Where is the table? Oh, there I am.
I'll just share with you, as you started reading the first words of your story in the last book, it was a little triggering, just to be forthwith on bringing me back to March the 12th. Yeah. March the 12th last year was a very tough day, because as clients were starting to call me, I do customer engagements and demos. I help other people write their stories of their brands out into, using the grocery stores and trade shows. And all of a sudden, all the letters are starting to come in. We don't want you in the grocery stores. You got to pull out. And in mind you, some of the smaller ones said it was going to be okay. And then I thought, I don't need to be in a grocery store where people are being crazy nuts. They're all looking for toilet
Well,
paper
that's
and
the other thing too.
frozen. It's
Yes.
the anxiety of, I want to do my job, but not in a very, it's in an
Yeah.
anxious place that doesn't serve my spirit, my soul well. And I can remember March 13th, guys, I'll tell you right now, the story is I had a pity party, and it sounded like when you started to read that you were reading my pity party I was having on the 13th, March 13th, going, okay, now what are you going to do, Jeanette? 2/3 of your customers are gone.
Helpless and hopeless, and
Yeah.
what's next?
And then I got to tell you, because of the incredible people that are around me, like people like yourself, and talking and living through some of this experience, they kept on saying, Jeanette, what can you do? In the back of my head, it kept going around. What can you do? What can you do? What can you do? What can you do?
Exactly. And I think this whole time we are going to see as we move through this, I guess we're already seeing that those that were able to actually, like you say, stop and think, okay, what can I do? And actually adapted are actually doing very well right now.
Yeah.
But the people that got stuck and just said, I'm just going to sit here and wait till that train comes back. They're still sitting there waiting.
Yeah, exactly. So a beautiful way to share your story about being so, you know what, it was something I didn't even think about, that there was
Well, no, exactly. Most people don't. Well, my chapter in this third book, I actually go a lot more into that.
Okay.
So and again, it's kind of a few months later, so you more time to kind of, so this is let's see, this one's also green. So
and that's one of my favorite symbols.
Yeah, with the lab gloves on and stuff. And so with this one, my chapter, the title is a little different than the ones before. So chaotic stillness in the eye of the storm. And my quote is, life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain.
Get those beautiful rubber boots on and make it happen.
Go stomp.
Or I should say the rubber gloves in this past year and a half.
All right, so here's the beginning of my chapter. So without warning, the storm hit, the rain pounding down, falling so hard, so violently that it ricocheted back off the ground. The wind rushed past me, and with it debris of all sizes that whipped past my face. The whole community was in a panic, not knowing what had hit us or when it was going to end. Everyone kept asking me what to do. They looked to me for leadership and pressed me as if I was their lifeboat, keeping them above water. How was I supposed to help all those people? Did they think I was Superwoman? I was exhausted and overwhelmed in my own state of panic, doing my best to protect and support my family. The pandemic had arrived, and my whole world had been thrown into chaos. So that's the beginning of my third one. So you can see I use that analogy of the storm as how the pandemic hit my life. So while most people were in the quiet of the storm, I was in the tornado.
Right of it. Wow, so powerful there, Cathy. And then when I was on your website, there's another unique book that you're part of as well.
Yes. This one came out. Actually, it was International Women's Day, March, so they brought this one out. So it might disappear. Whoop, there it goes. Whoop,
I can see it.
So Pursuit 365 is what this one's called. It's kind of a neat project too. So this one has 365 Canadian women.
Oh, cool.
Stories of inspiration and what they've been through, what they're doing. This one was actually a really neat project because what they did, the release date of the book was in March, but they chose 365. So every day this year, a different author was being highlighted. So starting January 1st, going right through to December 31st, a different chapter is being promoted. So both on the, oh my God, why can't I think? Fresh Magazine. So Fresh Magazine is the group behind this, Shelley Hughes. And so every day, so there's the digital copy and the, obviously in the book. So I did mine on my birthday. My day was, so that was kind of fun. But yeah, it's kind of neat. So with this is a whole different book. So with this one is 365 women. We had 365 words. So
Oh,
we only got one page, but it's this beautiful work of art. Let's see if it will actually show up. So here's my page. I just can't really see it.
I see your picture.
Oh.
Okay,
it's
yep,
almost
I've
there.
got it there. Beautiful.
So you see, and so every page has got a different author. So a nice picture and like I said, 365 words. That's it.
Wow, to
So just
capture
kind
a
of a brief
story.
thing of what we're up to, what we're doing next, and that sort of thing. So that was a very different project to be involved in, but a great bunch of ladies.
Beautiful. So the book that's coming up, you kind of touched on it earlier, so we can wrap this up on a good positive note. So book number
5
that you're going to be in with the Women of Worth comes out when again?
Well, the first 3 were Women of
Oh,
Worth.
sorry.
Then this 4th one was with Fresh Magazine.
Okay,
My
your
5th, yes, sorry. And so my 5th book is actually with a different group of women out of California. So they're called Women of Action, or Women Action Takers. So that's a whole different group that I've been doing that book with. So yes, so as I mentioned, that one is called Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore.
Great.
And yeah, so right now there is you can do a pre-order. If you go to my website and go to my book section, there's a link there to pre-order. And they just announced today that August 30th will be when we're launching that one. So that's exciting. And yeah, so
we'll make sure afterwards that I'll put a little comment saying, of course, thank you for being my guest today. And you can put in your email, or not your email, your website into there as well. So thank you so much. I'm trying to remember, how did we connect? I have so many beautiful people in my
Clubhouse. We were just in the same Clubhouse group.
Yes.
And so you go, hey, we have to talk. And here we are.
There's a shout out for Clubhouse. Yeah, now I remember. I just have so many beautiful people in my life that I've kind of put this ask out to connect me up with authors that are out there, so I can have a sit down on a Tuesday night, either 5, 6, or 7 o'clock, depending on your time zone, to meet your needs. Because sometimes at 9 or at 7 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock in the evening for my East Coast people.
Right, yes,
they should be snuggled in bed reading a book. So yeah, so thank you so much again. I always like to give the last word to the author. What is your words of wisdom about being an author out there?
I think most people hold themselves back from jumping in. A lot of people want to write a book. I would say jump into a collaborative book, because it definitely is easier to get started when you're just a chapter out of a book instead of having to come up with the whole thing yourself. Mm-hmm. And especially when it's a chapter, you're telling your own story, then again, you're not having to really create a lot of the characters and what's going to happen. You're just retelling your story. So I would definitely encourage people to get into collaborative books. There's so many projects going on right now. I will connect you with the woman who's organized this next one that I'm in. She will love getting to know you and telling you all about her books. And she's got more books coming up. She's got another one coming up that's being released before mine. And that one's called The Fearless Entrepreneur. She had another book that was A Year of Fears, where she literally faced a fear every day of the year. And so she's got all kinds, and she's got an ongoing list of new ideas that so I will connect you with her. You will love her.
Oh, excellent.
But yes, face your fears, have that inspired tenacity to just go do it.
Well, I have something that I like to say is that word authenticity. We have to be the mayor of our own authenticity. And I would say you've been inspired as your mayor and have the tenacity that it takes to be that mayor of your own authenticity. So again, thank you so much. As you saw, I didn't ask you to put things into the comments. I love to be present for the people that are on my screen. But if after you've watched this and you've had any questions that you want to give to Cathy, please do put them into the comments. She will come back and take a look at them and answer them for you. Stay tuned. Next Tuesday night, I'll have another author here as I sit on my big purple couch and they sit wherever they are. We talk about books. So I encourage you all, go grab a book, go grab a warm glass of milk or an nice cold glass of water and tuck in and read. Books will take you to places that you never thought possible, that your brain, your heart, and your body can go. So thank you so much, everybody. Talk to you
Thanks for
again.
having me. Take care.